very interesting. Having chatted to some people up in Manchester while I was there, and just they look after some talent over there as well. Whereas before COVID and even after COVID, a lot of the big tasks they had was moving key members around, placing them overseas for 4 or 5 years, that kind of program. Whereas now they've seen a shift, instead of just key staff members or key leadership positions, it's actually filtered down to the actual workforce and talent more globally in the firm, rather than individual leaders going into certain jurisdictions for a certain period. It's actually where to find the best talent and how to integrate those into a company situated in the UK, for instance.
That is very interesting, and probably means that companies are getting a much better value output in terms of the expertise, right?
Much better value and finding the skill sets they are looking for. If it is an IT service provider, getting the best people in certain roles, regardless of where they are sitting.
And what are some of the challenges around this? I'm sure that there are some unintended consequences of sourcing global talent.
So obviously there's always a bit of devil in the detail, especially when it comes to tax. And then obviously as new laws are coming out in terms of how long certain people can be in jurisdictions without visas, etc., makes it more interesting. So yeah, there's always...
Are there any recent regulations that have complicated this? I remember you saying there may have been some.
So there has been one coming out of the States, so the H1B visas, where there's now either a bit more complexity or costs that is involved. So obviously they've, the likes of Tesla, etc., have made it an effort to find the best talent regardless of where they come from and bring them to the States, where now that actually may not be viable to have those people on those visas in the States anymore.
So how do companies respond to that? And that sounds quite complex.
So there's obviously quite a few ways. Obviously, I think in an ideal world, it would be to find someone with those capabilities who is a American resident, for instance, in that location. But obviously, it's not always the case, where sometimes the specific skill, etc., isn't in the location. So I think the first prize would obviously for the guys in the States to employ locally. But there's now people looking at the outsourcing and offshoring models, where they're obviously just finding the providers that have that talent, and then directly engaging with them, which would make it more efficient and cost efficient as well.
That is a pretty dynamic and interesting shift that's happening globally. It would appear that tighter visa frameworks have actually driven innovations in how companies are building teams, but critically in how they can staff for skills that would otherwise historically have been borderline impossible.
Yeah, so I think it has come from. So I think it was pioneered with the high skill visas, so in tech and in finance, where they're finding staff and bringing them in. But now obviously certain regulation changes, it may not be cost efficient to do that anymore. And so they're sort of looking for a similar solution to one that they've currently used or have been using in the past, where they can still tap into that high talent market. And there may be new variations of this, obviously time frame being one, time zones. So it may be a case of having teams working collaboratively on projects, not in the same time zone. So being able to almost deliver on a longer 24-hour basis. There's always someone being able to respond to clients and engage.
Now, from a resource plus point of view, you guys are very much on the ground in navigating these changes. What are you seeing in terms of demand?
So there's definitely, we're seeing a shift from the audit senior roles, or I want to say the do-all kind of thing, to we're now seeing into the more assistant manager roles now as well, where they're looking for a bit more high-level insights, project management, and then also their technical abilities as well, to also then give guidance to local teams. So we've had one now where they had won a property firm, client in London, but haven't had anyone on staff at a senior manager or manager role. So we've supplied someone that was able to then coach the local team in terms of the nuances for property clients, because they'd done ones locally in South Africa.